We are having an all-electric build for our camper van, and the way that we're gonna do that is by having a generator effectively run every single time that we drive our van. And that'll happen because of these two things. Our dedicated alternator giving us 280 amps and our Wakespeed. We are super happy to be partnering with Battleborn and DragonFly Energy again on our electrical part of our van build. And this Wakespeed is our alternator regulator. This is what takes the charge coming in from this and maximizes it for charging our batteries. Now we do have 825 watts of solar on our roof, so that's gonna be kind of our consistent boondocking energy. But whenever we need a burst, all we'll need to do is turn on the engine. This will charge our battery bank in 3 hours, plus or minus. So it's pretty crazy. And that's if we're at zero, which will be very rare. Now the process for installing our Wakespeed and alternator from Nations is basically split up into two pieces. The first, we're gonna need to install the alternator, and the second will configure the Wakespeed. Part of the alternator install that's gonna be super challenging is the wire routing, because we have 4-aught wire, which is absolutely massive and required for the almost 300 amps this thing is gonna produce. But fortunately, the actual install of the alternator on the engine should be relatively simple. Let's see how it works out, but we do have a bracket, an N62 bracket already pre-configured on our engine, so this should just plug and play. Part of the challenge with 4-aught wire is that it's so thick, so I need to figure out a good way to route it to our battery bank. Some people route it through underneath the van and then up the back. I'm gonna try to keep it inside the van. I think that will be simpler for our use case. And there's two ways to get it in. Basically the driver's seat underneath there, and then in front of the passenger seat. Since the alternator is on the passenger side of the vehicle, I think it's just gonna make sense to kind of route there, but I do have to figure out how to route it in. So I'm gonna try to do it underneath the mat. There's a bunch of wire cable routing down there, so I'm gonna see if we can fit 2 more giant wires in there. Big wire. I've been trying to route the wire through the passenger side, but it's gonna be super tight. I'm not sure it's gonna be a good option. I will have to probably cut some plastic to get that to work, and I don't wanna make any cuts right now. I wanna see if I can fit it in existing holes, all that goodness. So now I'm gonna take off the driver's seat, try underneath there. I think this is gonna be the hardest part.
We were able to get one of the large wires down to feed it into the engine area, and
it was a bit of a pain.
It was a bit of a pain, so now what we've tried is taping the other wire, because we need both the red and the black. So hopefully that this will work.
Hopefully.
They're taped down there, and they have to go all the way over here and under the van.
Here is the black with a little zip tie that worked pretty well.
Now I have both the red and the black wire coming in. We have to clean this though.
All right, now that we have our 4-aught wires going through the driver's seat into the engine compartment, we need to install our alternator. And this will be installed with 2 bolts, so it should be hopefully pretty simple. The Wakespeed harness is supposed to come in within the next couple hours, so there's another wire that needs to go to the alternator when that comes in. As of now, I'm just gonna keep this train moving. Alright, I got our bottom of our alternator here, got my negative wire, positive wire, and I will add some protective loom to this, but just getting everything settled right now. It looks pretty good. Unfortunately, the harness is not going to arrive today, so we are going to finish this project tomorrow. The next step is going to be attaching the pulley. So this kind of comes around here and then attaches there. Alright, finally got it on. It was actually, had to get it on the alternator first, and then the tensioner belt pulley. Well, engine crankshaft, then alternator, then tensioner. And now I actually need to tighten it up, but it's on. Hallelujah. Well, I really thought that I was gonna be able to do the Wakespeed and secondary alternator install in one day, but the Wakespeed harness has been delayed, probably because of the hurricane. So it should be here tomorrow. And unfortunately, now that I have the alternator all hooked up, I don't think I'm gonna be able to drive the van. So we're kind of gonna be just playing the waiting game. I do have more work to do. I need to finish the other side of these wires. So I'm going to basically route them through the wall, figure out the exact length, so that way they go right into our links distributor. And then I need to cut, crimp, and heat shrink the wires. So really that's not too much work. I'm gonna do that right now. We got a little bit of rain coming. It's only 2:30, so still quite a bit of time left in the day. I might also mount the Wakespeed, but we'll probably, actually I'll just wait for the harness for that. After that, we'll just see. I'm running the AC to lower the battery so we can really test this tomorrow. So we really have no loads right now. And I have the wires routed. I'm really worried that I am gonna cut too little. So I'm gonna cut probably a little extra, just so that way I have room, because this wire ain't cheap. All right, I have wired the wires, fed them all the way back through into our links distributor. Tomorrow, I hope our harness comes in so we can hook it up and see how well this performs. All right, I'm happy to announce our Wakespeed van harness just came in the mail. Now, this is a kind of specialty version of the harness. So there's technically two versions, and this is like a half a version off of one of the versions. And so the P harnesses are typically what you'll find in Victron systems, but this is the P van harness, which we really wanted because this is basically made for van installations. And so the Wakespeed, if you're not familiar with it, it's a alternator regulator, so you can use it for a bunch of different systems, and it's really popular on boats. And for a boat, normally you're gonna have the Wakespeed near your alternator, which can be in the same area. So you'll use the normal Wakespeed P harness for that, depending on your system. So you wanna do your research. But for vans, normally you're gonna have your Wakespeed near your batteries, which is all the way in the back of your van, obviously pretty far from the engine compartment. So they have a very special harness for that. And let's open it up and see what we got. We effectively have 3 legs in this harness, and it's really simple once you kind of know what they're all about. So the brown wire, this will go underneath the seat. This is for our ignition voltage, so basically that'll tell the Wakespeed only to work when it's plugged in. Over here, we have the light that goes to the alternator. So it's in this nice braided protected cord. This is for the temperature sensor, which was included in our Nation's alternator. And here, only the blue wire we're gonna be using as the, I guess, the wire that goes into the alternator. And then over here, we have the light that goes to our power bank. And we're only gonna be using a few wires of this for our install. Essentially, just power. And we need to fuse it, so I have this inline ATC fuse for the power. And then here's a Wakespeed. Let's install it. But first, let's make sure all the wire link work where our Wakespeed's gonna go. All right, good news. The Wakespeed fits. The harness has plenty of room up to the engine. This harness is seriously a game changer. Pun intended, game changer batteries. Let me walk you through what we have going on right here. It's actually really simple, but yeah, there's only a few pieces that are important. So we have our communication wire from our Wakespeed to our Turbo GX, blue to blue, black to black. That is important. And then down here in our links, sorry for a little bit of the mess, it's kind of hard to get a good angle of this, but we have our alternator hooked up with our 4-aught wires that we installed earlier, and we have the power cable from this going to the same terminal on the links distributor as the alternator one, because if the alternator fuse blows, we also want to turn off the Wakespeed at the same time. We don't want this to kind of keep going in the case of a fault. So small detail there, got the negative on there. I'm gonna clean this up, attach the case, and move to the front of the van and work on the connections near the actual alternator. And it is a hot one. It's like the afternoon here, and we get afternoon sun on the other side of the house, so it's just beating in our battery compartment. beating on it. Oh my goodness. Now for the alternator side of things, we have two connections here. From the alternator, we have this temperature sensor, and then over here we have this blue wire. The blue wire goes to the blue wire here, and the temperature sensor goes to the green one. So plug and play, and this one I'll have to crimp that, and then heat shrink it together. But that's it, simple here. Then I'm gonna go through these wires, add some loom around it for protection, kind of get these a little bit up out of the way, route them all nice and neat, and yeah, next steps of the project. And we are good. Now let's tidy up these wires, call it a day, do some testing. An hour and probably lots of curse words later, we have our wires protected and routed. They are not touching anything. And I say that as, are they touching this? I guess they can't touch that. I need to raise them up a little bit more. But they are routed and protected, going all the way back. All the way back, you can see, into our cable entry gland. A lot of work, but an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I do not want any issues with this on the road. All right, every single wire is connected except for the brown wire. I'm gonna work on that now underneath the driver's side seat. Then we can put the seat back on and turn my battery bank back on and test it. Just turned the car back on, and no check engine light, which is always good whenever you're disconnecting the seats. There's a possibility if you don't do it right. And let's turn on our master switch here. So let me get Jen. Jen, you ready to test it? Okay, what have I stumbled upon?
Oh, I was giving Ollie some kisses.
Oh, okay. Smell any smoke?
Not yet. The Cerber GX is blinking yellow.
Yep.
So that'll eventually hopefully
loading.
get to green.
Now what I'm curious is if it's going to register the Wakespeed, just since it's plugged in right now, or if it'll only register it once I turn on the car. Screen's turning on. That's good. Device.
Now the Cerber GX is blue instead of yellow.
Alright, I guess we'll turn on the car and see what happens. I wish there was three of us right now. If one person I want to watch the alternator, but I guess let's just turn it on. Let's see. Alright, put the camera on a tripod in case I gotta move. Alright, I'm downloading the Wakespeed app. Alright, yeah, let's do it. Oh, I see a light on the Wakespeed. Oh, it came up on the thing. Let's see how much we're charging. I don't actually know if it's just going to work. But we got Wakespeed there. Forgive the rainbow coloring because of the camera. Let's go to pages. Oh, we are charging 280 watts right now. Nice. Let's go to Wakespeed. Got the temperature, state, bulk, no air. Cool. Oh, we're already charging at 1,000 watts right now. Oh my God. 1,700. This is what we were getting from the 15 amp shore power when I tested that. No fridge is idling, baby. We're getting 130 amps.
130?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Holy cow.
Boom, baby, boom.
Yeah. That is awesome. Right now we're getting over 100 amps. 130 was what I saw. Honestly, the batteries are pretty charged right now, so it's kind of like, I ran the AC yesterday to test it, and we're just idling. So the way that this works is that at more RPMs, more power will come in, but we're already at the same level of a 15 amp shore, and we're idling right now. I think that is a successful trial run. We thought maybe the engine compartment smelled a little weird, but honestly, the the belt is new, so like that kind of has its own smell moving around. We're gonna monitor it, make sure. Obviously, we don't want any weird smells, weird noises, sparks, smokes, any of those things for anything really, but specifically not electrical system. So I think what we're gonna do is kind of tidy up everything, go for a drive around the block, and see how it works kind of at a little bit faster RPMs, come back into the driveway and see how it looks. Make sure there's no smoke, nothing going wrong with it. It's kind of hard to tell in idle, and it is new. Everything is new. So we'll see. All right, I got my VRM local on the phone. Just gonna check it, see how it behaves. Let's do it.
Ready?
Should go around the block. This is so exciting. After this video, we are planning to drive 3 hours. So, you know, we're gonna really get a really good test after this. Just as a reminder, we're doing a 3-part electrical series. This is part 2. First one was installing the batteries. The last one's gonna be solar and then an overview of the system. So we are going to do that a little bit later. Maybe it's the next video, maybe in 2 videos. And so you'll see exactly how this panned out for us and how it's working for us. So, 2,400 watts! 3,000 watts! Holy cow, that's the inverter. Oh my god, that's 225 amps. Oh my gosh.
What this means is I can cook on a stove.
Holy cow, 220 amps. Jeez. This is insane. This is literally 200 amps. When we were running our generator on our boat, we were only able to get 100 amps out of it. Actually, more like 80 amps. And we are literally just driving around the block and getting over 200 amps out of this alternator.
That is wild.
This may be mumbo jumbo to some people, like, what is an amp? Whatever, what is all this stuff? Just know this is a lot of power, and it's actually pretty cool.
Impressive, yeah.
Yeah. Ollie, what are you doing? What are you doing? How do you feel, babe?
I feel good. I'm most happy because you're happy.
Ollie, look at how much charge we're getting. And with that, thank you again to Battleborn and DragonFly Energy for sponsoring this video. And I cannot wait to see how the Wakespeed is with miles and miles on the road.
Yes, we will be doing a 1 year later post once we start getting out on the road and we've tested it in a variety of different situations. So be sure to check our channel again for that video a year from now. And yeah, we are so excited. So thank you Battleborn and DragonFly Energy. With that, we'll see you in the next one on Sunday.
Thanks for watching.